All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Justin. I will be going over this presentation in the slideshow and kind of discussing the various topics. It's going to be a few bar charts, and at the end, it's going to be looking at the DAX function in the Power BI that is pretty beneficial for business because it does allow you to uh, kind of filter your queries and stuff like that. So and again, this is for the Canyon retail sales, and we will go on to the next slide. Okay, so the purpose of the report. We are going to be going over sales numbers, not necessarily the prices or the financial aspects of it, but more of the product sold or the unit sold in this case. So there's going to be, again, four bar charts, and each one's going to discuss. The first one is going to be the two store regions with specifically the two vendors in each one, and they're about the same, Mountain King and Pacific Gear. The one after that's just going to be basically the two regions for total sales and not including not broken down into the vendors. Then after that, we're going to go over the products sold, so the individual products, and there's seven of them, and we'll be going over that and kind of what that data means that we get. And the last bar chart is going to be the one for the year of 2024, which is the individual year that we've actually ended up gathering the information from. And then also we'll be going over a DAX chart, which, or a calendar chart used with the DAX and Power BI, and kind of go over why that's beneficial and what that can help do with the analytical aspects of the business. Okay, so the units sold by region here, just the first bar chart we're going to get here. So you can see that just looking at the chart, you can see a pretty glaring difference here. The light blue represents the Mountain King vendor, and then the darker blue represents the Pacific Gear. So in both regions, there is a pretty significant difference, especially in Tri-State is a much wider difference there. Nearly 80% of Mountain King's products sold more in the tri-state region as opposed to the and Chicagoland actually too, which is a little bit less, but still pretty high. So the next slide actually or here in a couple slides we're actually gonna go over the individual products, and then I think that'll shine a better light as to why there is such a discrepancy there. Okay, so the units sold by region. So the previous slide we went over the units sold between the uh, Mountain King and then the Pacific Gear, so that broke it down a little bit more. But this is a kind of a broader chart here, so it does show the exact numbers of how much is sold by each. So you got the 58 in the tri-state as opposed to 28 in Chicagoland. So basically, what you're seeing is that you're getting more than double the amount of products sold in the tri-state compared to Chicagoland. For different reasons, we can try to decide why that is, and if there's anything we can do to kind of close that gap. But that's just the numbers right there that we're currently seeing between the two regions. Okay, so the total unit sold by product name here. This goes over a little bit more breakdown, so you're going to see the information on the seven products: Cozy Socks, the Easy Boot, the Tiny Tent, the Dura Boot, the Medium Tent, the ZZZ Bag, or as a sleeping bag, and the Biggie Tent. So as you can see, five out of the seven products are Mountain King, and two are Pacific Gear. So that the difference in the number of product by vendor actually may be a pretty big difference as to why there was such a big gap between the two. So you can see that Cozy Sock sold at nearly two times as many as any other products at 28 total of the total item sale, unit sale there. So which in total is 24 as opposed to say 14 for the closest two. And then you see three of them at 10, and then the last one at the Biggie 10 at 4, which part of that could be the fact that it is a little bit more pricey, but that end up can make a little bit of difference in the end, though, kind of closing the gap on the dollar sold for these products. All right. So there was only 1 year that we tracked so far, and that was 2004. And the total product sold was 86. And as we've broken down in previous slides, it ranges from region all the way down to the actual products themselves sold. So something that we're going to have to do, obviously, is keep track of the next coming year and then compare it to this one and see if there's any adjustments or any issues that need to be made. Okay. Okay. So what does all this data tell us? It tells us that there is a significant difference between the two regions in terms of sales, and that's both by vendor and by the actual region of all the total sales for that each individual region. These small. It also tells us that these smaller products tend to sell more, as we saw with the cozy socks, we saw with the tiny tent, and then the easy boot. And then pretty much as they get bigger, that's the fewer sales they get. But part of that obviously would have to do with price. So the Biggie tent was the most expensive item on that list. So there's a good reason as to probably why that's so less. But in the end, it's important to kind of look at if there is in fact a way that the price difference does in fact kind of level things out in forms of the financial aspects and financial gains that we get from it. Okay, it also tells us that Pacific Gear units, that the Mountain King units sold a lot more because there were more Mountain King units in general. So just from year to year, we'll check it out, kind of go over those numbers, and then see what needs to be done. Okay, so the areas of focus. It's important for anything. You need to know what you need to focus on, so you know what needs to be addressed and how you can improve your business. So it's beneficial to maybe try to promote Pacific Gear products more. We did see that in generally they were a little bit lower sold. However, that's also again because the number of products by the Pacific Gear vendor was lower. So maybe you need to focus on trying to see if we need to get more Pacific Gear products and see if that makes a difference or if we're financially okay with how we're doing things right now. Continue to monitor all sales change in units and numbers of vendors, products, regions, and total sales. So just continue to be diligent or diligent. Uh, focus on each little detail, and then it all paints a big picture that we need to understand. Monitor the annual sales in both total and other categories. Same thing, just monitor them, the total sales in each individual aspect of it to help us improve everything. And more importantly, make evidence-based decisions off that. So what has worked in the past, what typically works in retail and many in merchandise sales, and do whatever is necessary to help improve the company. Okay, this is the DAX calendar chart. Pretty simple. You used a DAX code in order to produce the chart. So you create a table, and it's pretty beneficial because you can use the date, and it kind of calculates everything for you. Basically, as you can see, it separates between days of the week, weekdays, and week numbers as long as you put that within the code. So, and this specific calendar that is in Power BI that I created, it covers from January 1st of 2023 until December 31st of 2024, which ranges over the 2 years. So you can use this to kind of couple with other tables like sales tables. Maybe you can get transaction dates and stuff like that, which can make it a lot easier to filter the data and locate it, which saves a lot of time and ultimately a lot of money as well. In conclusion, we've gone over all the bar charts, all the numbers and the sales numbers, and specific and some of the reasons why maybe some of these numbers are the way they are. So we've gone over the two main vendors, Pacific Gear and Mountain King, which clearly one sells much more than the other because there's more of those products. Determining reasons for the sales numbers, monitoring why it is important to monitor from year to year so that if there's any numbers that change or anything, we can figure out why. If it's going up, numbers are going up, that's good. If numbers go down from this year to next year, that's something we can look at. And then the importance of constructing and utilizing a DAX constructed count or table using Power BI. So that's all I have. And feel free to reach out for me for any questions you have. Thank you and have a good day.